Welcome back to AM Prime. Now, education is a pillar of our society and crucial to the continued progression of the nation. However, obtaining education would not be possible without those who are the driving forces behind educational institutions across the country. This morning, we have with us Mrs. Sherra Carrington-James, the president of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools in Trinidad and Tobago, to speak on the 28th Biennial Caribbean Association of Principals of Secondary Schools, CAPSS, conference that will be hosted by Trinidad and Tobago virtually this year. This conference is geared towards discussing issues surrounding education in the Caribbean, with the theme for this year, breaking barriers, transitioning beyond the norm. Mrs. Carrington-James, who is also the president of CAPSS, is the principal of Goodwood Secondary School and has been an educator for 33 years. Good morning, Mrs. Carrington-James, and welcome to AM Prime.
Good morning. Good morning to you, Ms. Edwards, and thank you very much for having me. Good morning to your viewership as well.
Nice. So, in terms of CAPSS, how long has this association been in operation, and what is in terms of possibly the numbers or the demographics of the association, the membership, what does that look like?
All right. The Caribbean Association of Principals of Secondary Schools has been in existence for more than 66 years, actually. And we would have started as an organization back then, different incarnation, different name, as the Headmaster and Headmistresses Association in Jamaica. So we've been around for more than 66 years, and we are now branded, changed our name to the Caribbean Association, which we feel is more inclusive and embracing of the currency in which, the times that we are in. So that's essentially what we have. That's just a little bit of the name transition and so on over the years of our association. But we continue to have objectives that are consistent, that speak to education, supporting the policies across the region, leadership support, the principalship, the vice principalship. Those are some of our objectives, to ensure that we provide support and direction and mentorship to our principals and our vice principals across the region. And of course, education, Mandela spoke about education as the weapon, changing our society. So we believe in that, and therefore we seek to have input. We sit on the CARICOM Secretariat, some of their working committees, the working group. We are in COSHOD, we have an observer status on the CXC Council. So our objectives or vision or mission is all about education across the region and supporting the leadership in our organization so that our society can indeed see that change that we referenced in Mandela there.
Understood. Now, in terms of education across the region, because we often I've heard it several times from education ministers in the past in terms of the quality of education that we offer in the Caribbean as well as in Trinidad and Tobago rivals that of what we see in places such as the United States and other jurisdictions, because of the quality of work that students walk away with. Would you also agree with that statement, or how would you describe the quality of education that is rolled out across the Caribbean?
Well, I think what is generated in our schools as educational interaction is really anchored in a certain amount of realism that is transferable. So different education jurisdictions have different kinds of methodology of how they educate their societies. In the region, the superiority that we see, I would classify as relevant. So a child can take the context in which he or she receives this education and transport it into another jurisdiction and succeed. So we hear a lot of that our students who go to North America are way ahead. But it is because I believe that it is anchored in a certain amount of relevance, of realism in how we deliver what we deliver. So yes, I would agree with that statement, in that it is superior because of the relevance and the context in which we deliver the educational product here. And for us, the conference that is coming up seems to speak to that. We have sought to ensure that whatever we are doing in our conferences, and this has been going on, this is the 28th biennial, that's 50-something years of conferencing, to ensure that the learnings that are garnered in any one jurisdiction don't stay there. There's a certain amount of myopia that we have sometimes, and we in the Caribbean Association have insisted that that be shared. So embedded in our conference would be a lot of best practice sharing amongst the colleagues in the schools across the region. That's the reality and the realism and the relevance to which I refer.
Nice. And actually, so I want to delve into the conference as well as how the pandemic has affected, I would say, members of the association, so the schools, the staff, and so forth. But we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will continue the discussion. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Welcome back to AM Prime, and we are continuing our conversation this morning with the president of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, and she is Sherra Carrington-James. And we are talking about a conference that is coming up. It's the 28th biannual CAPSS conference, and we are understanding as well that before we jump into the meat of the matter in terms of the conference, now is a particularly abnormal time, so to say, with the pandemic raging. Many people have to interact virtually. We're seeing our secondary schools across the region, as well of course here in Trinidad and Tobago, really being pushed to adopt new practices in a very short space of time. And so what I want to find out from you is, how has that adaptation been? I would understand that it would be challenging, but for someone who actually is very much involved in that transition, how has that experience been for you and the other members?
Well, I'm speaking here as the Caribbean Association of Principals president, right? So across the region, it's not even just Trinidad and Tobago. What we have experienced in a nutshell is tremendous growth. If you looked at us 12 months ago, it was a totally different organization. But we've gone through the gamut of emotions, just as any individual in this society. But it's not that we are alone, and we recognize that. So some of the reactions to the KFC closing and so on, we as principals, we went through that as well, and the doubles and all of that. But we have gone through it. If you remember, the first term or ministry, for example, said that teachers' education, we come in, it was volunteerism. So, you know, do the best that you can. But look at what September looked like. So with the support of our ministry, or ministries across the region, because we do have ministers of education in our conference as well across the region, we spoke to resilience, looking at the responsibility that we have to educate the nation's children, the region's children, move us through those emotions pretty quickly to a state of growth and responsiveness and to the responsibility that we have. So we would have started, for example, an initiative called Thoughtful Thursday, and we immediately had a regional response. All of our territories, all 16 territories that we have in the association, 11 of them active. And we would have gone to a professional development hour every Thursday afternoon, every Thursday evening, speaking to the issues in education, supporting each other, technology responses, upskilling ourselves. We didn't wait. So the impact on us as an organization would have been one of growth, one of development, one of transitioning. And therefore that is one of the things that spawned the theme for this year's conference, that we transition beyond, not just the norms. Everybody's talking about the new normal. And we've gone beyond that to look futuristically. What would education look like for our children across the region after this pandemic, during this pandemic, beyond? Don't just settle for norm. We did that for the last 60-something years.
So
going beyond that.
I just want to remind our viewers of the theme, which is breaking barriers, transitioning beyond the norm. And the conference itself is taking place from July 26th to July 31st. What can those attending the conference, or even, those educational stakeholders on the outside who may not be attending or have access to the conference, but who are very much interested in the work and what are the expected outcomes and so forth. So if you can describe for us what over those couple of days attendees would be engaged in.
Well, our biennial conference this year is virtual, and that has in itself defined the conference. It is historic. None of us knew, well, maybe some, but what Zoom was before. And certainly the utilization of technology has to be the mode that we're going by, and that is a virtual conference this year. We have done something, like I said, we're going beyond. So we would have commissioned the building of a platform. So what you would see in terms of the avatars, the entry, it is CAPSS, it is CAPSS branding. We're building it out with partnerships with a team out of India, New Jersey, and a local team here, RSC, who has supported us tremendously throughout our development and our transitioning over the year. So it's a platform, it's virtual. We have branded the 6 days that we have, well, 5 of the 6 days, because the last day is our business day. And that's where we have our AGM and our resolutions, and we really reflect on all of the sessions that we've had. The multiplicity of sessions that we have this year supersedes any that we've had before, all of the 60-something sessions. If you think of the face-to-face model to which we've been accustomed, it would have been that pedantic march, the whole group of us from one room to the other. Now we have multiple breakout sessions. On our first day that we've branded Coat of Arms Day, and it must reflect our host country, Trinidad and Tobago, and the support that we're receiving. It's open to all our principals, secondary and primary, to our middle managers as well, or vice principals, or parents, or youth. Everybody's welcome. There's an area in the atrium that we've built out that would allow all of our visitors, participants, to experience what our principals go through when we try to professionally develop and upskill ourselves in the auditorium inside. So the rigor exists for us as attendees. That's a paid option. It is free to everyone to come through the platform. Day one, we are honored to have the Honorable Nyan Gatsby-Dolly, or Minister of Education, do the feature address in our opening ceremony, and we thank her graciously for that. And we would also have, after that opening ceremony, Dr. Carla Barnett, the Secretary General for CARICOM, the Secretary General-elect. So she hasn't taken up office yet, and she'll talk to the critical role of the Caribbean regions administrators in transition and beyond. And just a snippet, Sir Hilary Beckles, out of the University of the West Indies, would speak to the responsibility of Caribbean educators. Keith Laband he's out of Bishop Anstey Trinity East. Augmented reality, the mixed reality, the technologies embedded in our conference. And I'll just give you a little snippet. UE panel that would speak to Caribbean education. Is it failing our male students? What is going on? Gender-based violence, all the issues that are current in education, we will touch on. That's just day one. Day two, we have Dr. Laurette Bristol out of CARICOM. And as I said, CAPSS does sit on quite a few of the CARICOM committees. We have Sugan Ramdas of RSC talking about self-care. Sometimes we forget that principals and leaders are humans as well. And that we need, there's an ad that would come on the plane that would say, if you have a minor in your care, you put your mask on first before you attend to the child. We too need to take care of ourselves and put that mask on and ensure that we take care of our health. So we do have health and wellness in there. On day two, panels out of the university. We have innovation, academic and social programs out of Queen's Royal College, or second vice president of our local association, David Simon there. We have Vanessa Martinez talking health and wellness. Day 2, we have our National Instrument Day. So Coat of Arms Day, Day 1, Day 2 is National Instruments Day. Day 3, we would speak to our national birds, we'd speak to our national flowers on Day 4, and I see we have a presenter here on Day 4 called Mr. Nikoli Edwards as well, and we are very, very happy to have him on Youth Day.
Yes.
And then we'll end our 5th day talking to a brand of our national festivals. We have Professor Wayne Frederick out of Howard University as well, a Trinidadian, coming in to speak with us as well. Justice Anthony Carmona, we have him speaking to creating opportunities for youth empowerment. Hazel Manning is going to come in and speak to education as well. Wayne Wesley, challenges and lessons that we've learned to CXC and COVID. And I could go on and on talking about the rigorous, the robust, the all-inclusive offerings that we have. Mrs. Manning, if I recall, she's also a John Maxwell professionally trained speaker. And she'll talk about crisis management, leadership, and so on in education as well. Heidi Curry out of Belize, the president of the Belize Association, will speak to a model of social enterprise. We're going to talk social justice. We're going to talk even amongst the CAPSS heads that would have been there in the inception. We're going to have a little panel of them looking at the vision, and then we'll have another panel of us more current ones talking about that vision that has finally been realized. So, I mean, you know, if I start, I'm going to go on all day.
Well, what I can definitely take away is that it's really holistic. It's touching on all of the areas that are necessary for that transition to occur. Because usually, when you think about some of those topics that you've mentioned, they happen in terms of in discussion, in isolation or in silos all over. And to see all of this really coming together and really seeing to all the members, all involved, that, you know, this is the direction we have to go and this is the information. And I must say that when you think about the names that you have called, it's really some powerful individuals who are very much versed in their various industries and can offer a lot. So I can tell you, I am excited to participate and to learn more coming out of this conference. And you may not have known, but I served as a chairman of a local school board, my alma mater, actually, San Fernando West Secondary School. So education is very important to me, and I know the potential of education, and I very much believe that you all are harnessing that potential through this conference.
Yes, that is our intention, our objective, our goal, and we are going to achieve this year. For the first time, I think it's a fully Caribbean conference.
Nice.
So the experiences of our students in Jamaica, we have Anguilla, we have the Bahamas, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For the first time, there is no restriction and limitation of travel.
Yes.
And therefore, it is our first truly inclusive Caribbean conference on a custom-built platform. I too am so excited to be. I've not done gaming and so on, but a little avatar where I could go onto a platform and walk into my room, click, sit in my chair, experience the ambience of Trinidad and Tobago culture, Caribbean culture, and still learn and engage. I feel is a powerful and historic event that nobody should miss.
Yeah, and what that says to me, the mere fact that you all have built a platform, is that even post-pandemic, you all are still going to be able to benefit from these foundations that you're setting down. Because one of my fears, as we saw the pandemic really ravage and we were in the eye of the storm, so to say, was that all the progress that we were making, especially in education, in terms of distance learning and all of these different approaches, I felt as though that if the pandemic had been behind us, all of these things would just go with it and we would go back to a level of normalcy, so to say. But it's good to see that platforms are being built, ministries of education are thinking, okay, how do we educate the child for the 21st century and beyond, and I definitely can get behind that. We just have a couple of seconds again, so I wanted to, how can persons get involved, get registered, where do they access the platform, that kind of information?
So we have a website, CAPSS Online, So you go onto our website, you go onto our Facebook page, the Association of Principals of Secondary Schools Trinidad and Tobago. So just Facebook. We have a CAPSS online Facebook page as well. So you go onto our website, CAPSS Online, CAPSS.online, sorry, CAPSS.online. Go onto the website. The link is there. You click, you register, principals, vice principals, or membership pays across the region. The general public is open to you to come and learn and grow with us. And make sure after you've learned that you action the things that you have. Sometimes we are very short on implementation, and we are determined this time to ensure that that happens. So CAPSS Online, our website. In Trinidad and Tobago, we have district representatives in the association. For membership, you reach out, you register, and you contribute to ensuring that this conference is a success.
Excellent. And Sherra Carrington-James, the president of the Association of Principals of Public Secondary Schools, Trinidad and Tobago, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me this morning and sharing all of this information. And I think if at least one thing that you've been able to do this morning is get me excited about this conference, and I'm pretty sure that our viewers are also very much excited to understand what comes out of this, and you will, I'm sure, see participation from our viewers. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to hearing your presentation when you join us as well.
Indeed.
I like your energy, and congratulations on starting this initiative during a pandemic.
Thank
so you too have experienced the kind of growth of which I speak. So congratulations to you.
Excellent. And guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have more for you. Stay with us. It's AM Prime.